Hey everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at part 3 of Ritchie's story on Perseus, right? So in the first two parts we saw Perseus as a young child, right? A baby basically, and the attempt to kill him and his mother. Now in part 3, we know that they've been saved by King Polydectes. And we're going to see how Perseus kind of grows up and gets sent on his journey, right? He needs his hero's journey. He's famous for fighting Medusa, and we're going to see that this is the beginning of how he goes on that journey and why he goes on that journey. So again, to start, we're going to take a look at each part of the story and break it down into its cases so you can kind of translate it a little better. And it starts with this. We have Perseus igitor multos annos ibi habitabat, et cum matre sua vitam beatam agebat. So Perseus, therefore, right? And remember, the backstory is they've been saved. They're on the island of King Polydectes, right? Seriphos. And they've been given a safe place to live. So now here we're saying Perseus, therefore, he lived, habitabat, he was living or he lived. Ibi here means there, and it's referring to the safe house he has in King Polydectes' kingdom. And he lived there for many years, multos annos, right? He lived there for many years. And agebat, he was living is kind of one way to translate agebat. It's more of an idiom, but he was living a vitam beatam, a beautiful life, cum matre sua, with his mother. Right, so he's living with Danae, right, his mom, and he's living a really good life. He's growing up with her. Then we have Polydectes, Danaein, magno per amabat, atque eam in matrimonium ducere volebat. So at just means but. So but Polydectes, that's the king, remember, he greatly, magna per is the adverb means greatly or very much, was liking or loving, amabat, Danae. Right? Now here we have Danaen with the N on the end of it. That's the Greek accusative. So in Greek, we use the letter N. It's equivalent to the Latin M, right? Which you're more familiar with. But when you have Greek names, they tend to use that Greek accusative. So it's just saying he very much liked or loved Perseus' mom, right? And atque, he wanted, volebat, ducere. So this is a complementary infinitive. He wanted to lead, but it's more of a idiom, a phrase. In matrimonium ducere means to lead in matrimony, to lead in marriage. It's a way of saying he wanted to marry her. And eam here is the direct object, right? Referring back to Danae. So he wanted to marry her, right? He wanted to literally lead her in marriage. That's what he wants to do. We have hoc tamen concilium Perseo minime gratum erat. So this plan, however, tamen is the however, this concilium, this plan, was minime gratum. So minime means the least. Gratum here means pleasing, right? It was the least pleasing to Perseus. Perseo is dative. It's this dative of reference. So it's saying it was the least pleasing to Perseus, meaning he didn't like this plan, right? He doesn't want King Polydectes marrying his mom. Then we have Polydectes igitor, Perseum dimittere constituit. So we know Perseus doesn't like this idea. Polydectes wants to marry his mom, so how is he going to do this, right? Well, he comes up with a plan. He constituit, he decides something, right? So Polydectes decides dimittere, to send away Perseus, right? Igitor means therefore. So therefore, he decides to send away Perseus, right? This is his plan. If I send him away, I can marry his mom. Then we have tum juvenum ad se vocavit et haec dixit. Terpe est hanc ignavam vitam agere, jam dudam tu adolescens es. So we have this comment, right, where King Polydectes is going to say something to Perseus, right? So we have then, tum, vocavit, he called, right? Who did he call? Direct object, the juvenum, the young man, meaning Perseus. So Polydectes called Perseus ad se, to himself. Se is the reflexive pronoun here. So he called Perseus to him, to himself. And he said, dixit, remember these are both perfect tense verbs. He said haec, he said these, right? Haec is the neuter accusative plural. It's a substantive adjective, so it means these things, right? So he said these things. Terpe est means it is shameful, right? And terpe here is neuter because the subject is really the infinitive agere. So you can translate it is shameful to live. Agere, again, is sort of idiomatically meaning to live here. You can almost say to lead a life or to live a life, however you want to do it. But he's saying it's shameful to live this lazy life, hanc ignavam vitam, right? This lazy life. So he's calling him out. He's saying you're not doing anything, right? Is kind of what he's saying. So he says it's shameful to live this lazy or sort of cowardly, lazy life. And then you have jam dudam, which means for a long time, right? Not for a long time. And now for a long time, rather, is a better way to do it. So it says, now for a long time, you are a young man, an adolescens, right? You can almost think of it as he's saying you've been a young man, right? But he's saying to him, you've been an adult, basically, or pretty close to it for a long time, and you're being lazy, right? So he's saying it's really shameful what you're doing. This is his plan. He's going to insult Perseus and kind of call out his manliness here as a way of getting him off the island so that he can marry his mother, right? That's the plan of Polydectes. So he says, you've been a young man for a long time now. Like, what are you doing? You're living a lazy life. Then it keeps going, and this is still Polydectes speaking. He says, quo usque hic manebis, right? So manebis is future tense. It means you will remain. Hic means here. Now, hic, the long I, is telling you that it's the adverb here, and it's not a demonstrative, right? Like hec, hic, hoc. So it says you will remain here. Quo usque means for how long? Literally, it means up to, usque what, right? So up to what will you remain here? A better way to translate it is for how long will you remain here? Right? So he says, how long are you going to stay here in this island, right, being lazy? And he says, tempus est arma capere et virtutem praestare. So it's time, tempus est, it is time, to take up arms, right, to grab or take up arms, arma capere, meaning weapons, right? And praestare literally means to stand in front of, but a better way to translate it is to show, is kind of the idea, to show your virtutum, your virtue, right, your manliness. So it says it's time to take up your weapons and show how virtuous you are, how manly you are, right? Again, he's challenging Perseus to kind of get off his butt and go do something with his life, right? Perseus is a hero. He needs to go on this hero's journey. So the last thing that Polydectes says to him, here's his challenge. So he said, you need to do something with your life. You're really lazy. What does he tell him to do? This is setting up the whole reason for Perseus' adventure. He says, hinc abi et caput medusae mihi refer. So it says abi. These are abi and refer are both imperatives, commands, right? Singular positive imperatives. So the first is abi hinc. So go away. Literally, it comes from abire, to go away. So you're saying go away from here, hinc, from this place, right? So he says, go away from this place and refer, right? Bring back, literally ferre, to carry, and the ari, the re, is meaning back. So carry back or bring back to me, mihi, there's your dative, the caput medusae, the head of Medusa, right? So this is his challenge. It seems kind of out of left field, a little mean, right? Polydectes just randomly wants him to kill this Gorgon, Medusa. But this is the challenge from Perseus. He says, if you want to be a man, if you want to grow up, go do something heroic, and this is his challenge. Go bring back the head of Medusa. So this is setting up the next couple chapters where that's exactly what Perseus is going to do.